Welcome to the Digital Couch, a podcast about the ever changing world of digital. The Digital Couch is brought to you by Value First. The podcast features leading global thinkers and their stories from the world of business, management, and marketing. Now, here's your host, Shauri Gupta.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Digital Couch. Today, we have with us Rajeev Singh. Rajeev is Vice President, Strategic Industries at SAP. Over the years, Rajeev has held multiple leadership roles at SAP and Oracle. Rajeev is an alumnus of IIT Delhi and SPJN Institute of Management, Mumbai. Welcome, Rajeev.
Hey, thank you, Shari. It's great to be on your show. I've heard a lot about this show. Let's kick it off.
All right, thank you for that. Let's begin then. So, I wanted to get started with your own story. I mean, I was looking at how you studied at IIT, then you went to JDS Software as a software engineer, and then you started shifting to very business specific roles, and you've actually just turned around things, and from an engineer, you've become a business leader today. So, would love to know more about how the evolution happened, how did you take those decisions, and a bit about your journey that way.
Yeah, thank you, Shari, for the question. I think it sounds a bit like maverick stuff, right? Coming from an IIT engineering background. In fact, I'm a mechanical engineer,
Yeah.
moved to software development, and from software development to a business school, and then to a completely new world of sales, and then running a business, particularly profit and loss P&L account for SAP for one of the verticals. Now, so when I also turn back, and look at this journey, a lot of my friends and people in industry think about why is such a transition at every phase of my career, and while it looks like it's way apart, but I have building blocks to this. I it was all thought through. So let me just tell you, when in fact, before IIT also, when I was in school, I am from Kendriya Vidyalaya
Yeah.
background, and I, by till 10th 11th, I did not know that IIT existed, right? So, and since I was decent in studies, so somebody just threw a challenge that, okay, there is something called as IIT, and you start preparing for it, and then it becomes your goal, and you get into IIT possibly at that young age without thinking too much about what IIT means, how it's going to change your world life, right? At that time, in my time, possibly becoming a doctor or an engineer were the only two options that we had.
Yeah.
So I got into engineering, IIT, did well, did my mechanical engineering, which I did not like that much. Then came campus interviews, and you wanted to, like everybody else, you wanted to go for the job which paid you highest. so so got into JDS Software from my campus. It was one of the higher paying companies that had come to our campus at that time. Got into software development, but there is a building block here. I was moving from mechanical engineering to a software company which was building supply chain management solutions, and it had absolutely building block from our mechanical, which was operations research, as a topic. And that was the reason I chose this particular field to be in the supply chain management side. And then once I started developing some of these software, and some of our clients were international clients, Raytheon Missile, Lockheed Martin, etc. And while sitting at the desk for 3 years, we were developing some great software. But it always fascinated me to know how the customers are reacting to some of our, software that we have built. So that's something that got me excited. I thought that's the side that I want to be in, really understanding. And that's when I realized that, possibly getting into sales or customer facing role was one option. So, and for my MBA, and I got into sales role, very chosen. I selected this role. I did not land into this role. A lot of people in industry end up doing sales uh, out of no choice.
Right.
But absolutely, I chose sales because I thought this was something which I actually wanted to experience. And from then on, the journey just continued. Sorry. So that's in short, you know, sounds absolutely like a maverick moves over years, but I had my own building blocks in my head.
And I'm sure you did. In fact, I'd love to know. What brought you to the decision of pursuing sales? I mean, was it the entire part about telling a story to a client, a potential client, and making business out of it, or was there a tipping point that you realized, okay, sales is for me?
So yeah, that's very interesting. I think for listeners, if there are younger generation, who's possibly trying to think about it, I noticed in myself, I felt that I was good with people while I was working as a software developer, and that's when I realized that some of the connections I could build were being in development. I thought that was one of my strengths, and I just wanted to build on it because I thought that this is what I enjoy,
Mhm.
meeting people and possibly talking to them, understanding them. And till date, my strength, I feel, is understanding people. When I talk to them, I try to understand, get into their shoes, etc. Not cliched, but this is what I realized, that I loved talking to people, meeting people. And I thought, which is that profession going forward, which will give me that variety of meeting people, the variety in meeting people instead of sitting at one desk working with one client. And this was one of the particular fields. Apart from, of course, the second consideration for me was the money part of it when you're doing MBA. So the finance or the sales were the two, possibly the sectors where I felt that there were money making potential in both these areas, but finance was not something which was going with my core strength of you know meeting people, working with people. So that's why I chose this sales specifically. That's how I narrowed down to sales.
Very interesting.
Sorry. Yeah.
Nice. Should we also talk about your motto? I mean, I read this on your LinkedIn, which said plan, proceed, and succeed. I mean, these just seem like three words put together, but I'm sure there's a beautiful story behind it. Would love to know that.
Yeah, so this is something which I've always felt, Shori, on this plan, proceed, succeed is more, comes more from a army kind of background. The war, I always believe that whenever you move towards doing something, and that's why I use proceed as the middle word instead of saying execute, which is the common thing. So my whole thought is, first you need to be very clear that success is what you're planning for, and that's why I deliberately call that succeed is my final destination. That's what we will strive for. That's the fight we start with, and then you plan. When I say plan, I've always believed that the foundation for any successful business or successful individual
Yeah.
is planning with an end in mind. So if you have an end in mind, you want to get something out of that particular process, that particular step, journey in your life or in a deal,
Hmm.
absolutely you need to plan. And then why proceed is purely on execution, right? So whether it's an individual, when I talk to some of my coach, some of my team members, and everybody has aspiration to be a manager, a leader, a vice president very soon,
Hmm.
I always tell them that you prove or you plan how are you going to move forward. This is number that you need to achieve or do these KPIs. Then you move next. Then you establish yourself again, which is what I say proceed. So you proceed and establish yourself in that position, and hence succeed, and then move on again, plan for next level, establish. And the whole establish and the proceed part is extremely crucial. We all have a lot of ambition and plan, everybody wants to succeed, but the whole planning piece is missing. And that's why tremendous focus on planning and execution with success in end as a mind, I mean, as the end goal that we want to achieve. So that's what broadly that motto means.
So, is that a tool that, I mean, how does that tool get used or this motto get used for you? I mean, personally, is this something that you use to inspire yourself and your stakeholders, or does it have any other implication?
Yeah, so it's not a tool. We have divided into, I follow this plan specifically into three buckets that we have decided, and depends on from a business perspective. perspective, how are you planning when you have a success in mind, when you have a goal in mind.
Mm.
Let's say we need to go ahead for, I'll just give you an example. We just took a story that we want to open a particular segment in education vertical in my first job,
Right.
that the whole university management system was absolutely, we were nowhere in that particular segment.
Mm.
And the whole planning process of it, whether how many what's our target, we set a target that we will win 5 such universities as customer in next 6 months.
Right.
And with that goal in mind, you start planning. And I don't have to tell a lot of you in the call and yourself, Shauri, I know in the details of the planning that goes in. And then the whole structure around executing it, whether it's segmentation of that whole university market, understanding your customer set, and then building a team to execute it, and
Mm.
then celebrating what you won and making customers for life. So this is something that we did during that time. And in uh, during my first stint, we built a business for education for my first company, which was just thriving after I left that company.
Got what you're saying. Very interesting. I also want to come to the next step. I mean, you touched a bit in your this answer about the education sector. I mean, you've been a sales leader for quite a while, a pretty known name as well. And a lot of time has also been spent on solution architecture, creating these solutions for businesses. So my question actually is, how deep should a professional who's into sales or business development be in solution knowledge to be at their best of performance?
Sure, it's very different for different kind of personalities, right? I mean, but there is the thumb rule that I believe is, you should know to the extent, technical knowledge to the extent that your passion or excitement of sales doesn't get dampened. So when I say that, let me elaborate. Every product or every solution that you're taking to market will have some limitations. While it will be great in 10 things, it will not be so great in 2 or 3 things.
Mm.
If a technical person, if a sales guy knows too much about the product and its personality type, instead of focusing on those 10, he starts focusing on those 3, he is possibly going to lose the passion and the energy with which sales need to happen. And hence it's a very thin line, right? Some of the guys who can cross this boundary of living on the strength of the product and still having the passion high is where I think is the right balance. Having said that, let me give you an example of one of our very top salesperson in my team,
Right.
right? So he is most phenomenal sales guy that I have seen in long time, and he is closing deals worth $10 million, $8 million in this year itself. So he's absolutely phenomenal. Look how good technically he is. Excellent. He can beat my technical architect on a solution discussion.
Mm.
Absolutely, hands down. He reads and reads and reads and reads,
Right.
right? And but is he the only kind of ideal sales guy that you should have? No, I have another person in the team who's excellent with people.
Mm.
He has absolutely limited knowledge about our product. Limited, I would say. He doesn't know zero. I mean, he's 5 or 6 on a scale of 10, when if this guy is on 10, 9 or 10.
Right.
And that person again is a top performer. and and hence I say that, while it is absolutely essential to know your product differentiators to the depth that you can engage your customer, and it all depends on what kind of customer segment you're leading. And now again, differentiating between the two customers, this person who's deep is looking at our largest segment of oil and gas, and these are our old time customers, 16, 17 years, who know about our solutions very very much themselves. And the other person who's leading and who's still successful is selling in net new segment, where customers about our product are not so deep, and they're looking at value
Yeah.
selling and positioning. For example, sorry, if you're a car expert yourself, you're a fan of fast cars, you go to a sales guy, a workshop,
Mm.
and a sales guy of car comes and talks to you, says, no sir, this is a button where this window will open, etc. But you are looking at information that, no, what is the BHP, how many walls are there, how does the valve move.
Right. Mm.
Now that sales guy will be absolutely waste for you,
Yeah.
because he will not be that deep. So again, it absolutely depends on who you're interacting with. But yes, a 5 or 6 level of sales engagement absolutely necessary. Nobody should be in sales who doesn't know his product and his differentiators. Should be absolutely not part of, should not be selling. But yeah, that's
But
my, if I've been able to articulate it well.
no, very well. In fact, so I mean, I get the fact that how you should. It is absolutely integral for you to know that, but also we as sales professionals should know that at the end of the day, we're about delivering value to a particular customer, which could be a business or anyone. And
Absolutely.
a part of it is also developing, sustainable relations with them for continued business relations, etc. So, what are these set of values that I mean, of course, I don't mean to make you sound preachy at the end of the day, but just if there was a way to put a set of values that you feel that are very essential for sales professionals to develop and maintain such customer relationships, wherein delivering value is the end goal.
Yeah, sure. I think you will hear a lot of things about this whole, building trust and long-term relationship. And no doubt that they're absolutely right. Trust is the ultimate thing if you have with customer, but it has huge building blocks, right? Trust doesn't come in one day. It comes over years, over multiple engagements. But if I have to pick one thing which has worked for me, and I have seen it absolutely in all top salespeople, is empathy towards your customer. If you can understand and feel what he's going through, and he sees it, that you are empathizing with him and you understand his pain,
Mm.
you don't have to do much after that. And if I have to pick that, while there are multiple building blocks, so I call this as the in sales, we call it as intention and competency.
Mm.
So competence is something which we talked about in your previous question about solution architecture,
Right.
and that's the competency part of it. And the second is the intention part of it. When these two combine, is when you are moving towards a trust based relationship. And the whole intention is reflective in your body language, in your words that are coming out of your mouth. So it is where your empathy, your integrity, when I say, you'll do what you mean, what
Yeah.
you say, that's where the whole intention part comes out. And then combined with the content that you're delivering, that yes, our product is great, etc. And that's what makes a super sales guy. And some of the examples, I mean, I just wanted to quote one. Recently we were working in one of the very very complex accounts, and customer was absolutely, uh, his system was down, and he was absolutely angry with the entire system which was going on. And one call, it is my personal experience, I just said, sir, I understand, I am with you. And there are 5 or 6 things, and I felt from my heart. It was a defense customer, and there was some interesting things going on, and he wanted the systems to be up and running, and we were supporting very very large national importance project.
Right.
And just, we did not solve it in 2 days, but just the feel of it, he felt that, no, the guy is feeling the pain, and I really felt it. It just does wonders, right? So it's intention. He understood it's not in my hand to solve it on the same day.
Yes.
But this is something which I think, if you go with the intention to solve, have empathy, you'll build long lasting relationships.
And
Sorry.
this is something that can't be taught, right? I mean, this has to come from inside. So,
It's values, right? I mean, what you've grown up with your friends, with your family, with your relationships. It's lot of that. And then it's difficult to have this part of the behavior while you can work on it, but it's very natural, the whole intention piece of it. Yeah.
Nice. So I'm going to try and link this with a very typical question of 2020. I mean, we're all surrounded by the uncertainty that COVID-19 has brought to us. And while our everyday life has been impacted very adversely, the way a business connects and communicates with their customer has also seen a drastic change. So my question is actually towards the sales force again. And you spoke about developing relationships with customers is important, your body language, etc. But a lot of it had to be changed because you've all moved digital. And you know, connecting with clients is important, but the physical interaction is missing. So what have say you been doing? I mean, over the last few weeks, training your teams and to just get okay with the new normal. I mean,
Yeah, Shori, that's a very interesting question you ask, and very apt also in today's time. What we have observed, and I've been talking to my team uh, about the whole change that has gone through during this time, and as in my last question, I said that the whole empathy part and the intention part is very important for salespeople. That has gone out of window. Significant part of it, because we don't have a physical interaction, and the whole body language, reading the vibes of the customer, whether deal is happening, not happening, that is all out of window. The corridor talks, getting some information is all out of window.
yeah,
So world has changed, and I was telling that personally what I have worked on is my voice modulation, because I'm just on calls whole day. So it's just to make up for this missing personal touch.
mm,
And all old timers like myself in sales, I mean, we used to gloat on this whole concept that, no, I have huge relationship, I can take my customer out for drink and dinner,
yeah,
which is all gone.
mm,
And suddenly you are seeing some of the top sales guys struggling for matter. What should they talk about? And hence my belief is that this COVID will shake the old timers up and say that, okay, the guys who were doing telecalling will be absolutely as important as the old experienced guys who used to take customer clients out on dinner.
interesting.
And it's a great leveler. And unless the sales guys are learning this whole communication in an offline era,
Right.
they will. And going forward, now the world has realized that you don't need to be physically present to really sell. And it was just a belief that, no, we need to meet to sell. And everybody is accepting this. So this change and the learning of salespeople, that the whole technical matter or the content needs to be far more stronger for salespeople now than the whole softer part of it. So sorry, that's one big change I see.
And are you, I mean, as a leader, taking necessary steps? I mean, you don't have to share trade secrets, but I mean, it's not easy, right? I mean, as you said, like you're shaking people who are not used to this way of selling. So, are you taking some steps to make them comfortable with this new way of selling?
Oh yes, Shari. I mean, we are absolutely insanely focused on how methodically we are going to approach our customers. So we have a calendar plan
Mm,
on how are we going to engage our customer in a very interesting manner in an offline world, whether it's sketchboard over a touch screen which the customer sees
right,
to feel that whole personalization, or it's a two or three uh, people just doing a talk show kind of scenario in front of customer. So we are innovating in that space. We are telling our teams to have customer calls, schedule customer calls, where with very interesting agendas. Nobody wants to today come and hear that you're going to talk about selling something in today's era of COVID.
right,
So hence the whole getting in their shoes, talking their language is becoming extremely important. So we are going methodical in making our guys experience this, even if the guys are saying that no, they were, man to man selling, in person selling experience. We are asking them to set up multiple calls, have that experience, give them feedback on their calls that have gone through, the video calls mainly, and improve on that.
Nice. I mean, I also want to touch on the bit after this. I mean, what's next? I mean, we will come out of this one day or another. And I mean, just given the fact that you've experienced a lot of different sectors managing their accounts, sectors such as FMCG, insurance, IT, public sector. So, what do you think will be the anchor taking our entire economy or market towards recovery post the COVID era?
So, sorry, I'm no expert in this larger thing, but I've always believed that any countries, and we say from any country's economy,
Hmm.
is pushed further by its SMEs, small and medium enterprises.
Right.
And those small and medium enterprises, when they start believing that this is the opportunity for me post COVID, where government of India is coming with policies that there'll be less imports from China and a lot of make in India will get a push. I think that's the segment, the manufacturing segment, in my opinion, of SMB,
Hmm.
supported by government in terms some initiatives, some funding or some ease of rules, will be the push which will take this economy forward. Needless to say, the sectors that will benefit
Hmm.
from a vertical point of view will be, you'll see tremendous growth in healthcare,
Yeah.
right? So everybody today during COVID times has started accepting that telemedicine or a online consultation can be real,
Oh.
right? So all of us have gone through this. I mean, I have consulted 3 doctors for
Hmm.
my family online on video,
Right.
where my son took his tongue out and showed his throat for throat infection to a doctor
Oh
on
wow.
video camera.
Hmm.
And that's something, and doctor said no, no, put some flashlight on, and etc. And this is what is going on, and henceforth this will become real. The second thing which we are of course seeing is this education thing. And third, very importantly, and I think you would appreciate that, I think the whole e-commerce, the enablement of sales, right? So e-commerce for SME will take massive growth. It will be exponential.
Oh.
We are seeing globally, and it's not an India phenomenon, it is globally.
Yeah.
The small brick and mortar shops want to go online because people are not visiting. that
Exactly.
is the that is the growth area. You can call it in IT sector as a vertical, but I think that combined with manufacturing SME segment with digital interventions like these will take our economy forward. That's my view.
I echo all of your thoughts. In fact, I was just speaking to someone at one of the biggest e-commerce players of the country, and they were telling me how they're getting volumes they would get usually only during Diwali. So every day is Diwali for them these days. So very well articulated there. All right, so that finishes the first segment of this episode. Now I'm gonna try and throw you off guard with due respect, and I just so this is the Karan Johar in me getting up, and I'm gonna do a rapid fire round with you.
So
Uh,
can I feel like Ritik Roshan?
I mean, you could, but you'll have to do a great job to win a hamper. It's imaginary, but still. All right, so
Sure,
just
let's go for it.
3 to 4 quick questions. Would want you to not think much and answer. So the first one is a person has joined the sales team for the first time. It's his or her first job ever. What is the plan that he or she should chalk out for the first 10 days?
Wow. I think first, get his or her expectation right with his boss.
Hmm.
Very clear. What's expected out of them. Second, know your peers. And third, get on immediate uh, discussion with one of the existing customers with from a knowledge sharing point of view.
Right.
Top three.
Cool. Your favorite thing about being in the sales ecosystem?
I think lots of party
Nice.
on softer side. I mean, I think we just meet so many people and meeting absolutely phenomenal people
Yeah.
from every walk of life, right? So some great personalities, very flamboyant to very reserved. A CFO or a CEO or a sales head of an organization, extremely fantastic. That's the best part. And of course, getting to meet them in informal settings at times. Great feeling about sales.
And your least favorite would be?
Oh, forecast calls. I think
Getting-
anybody.
All right. What did you do when you closed your first sales account of your career?
I looked up in the skies and I said, a software engineer can also do it.
Nice. All right, Rajiv, this was good fun. Thank you so much for being a part of this episode and sharing your
Hey,
stories, your expertise, and the quick rapid fire.
thank you, Shari. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Pleasure.
Thanks for joining us this time on The Digital Couch. Make sure to visit our website, vfirst.com, where you can subscribe to the show on the platform of your choice. While you're at it, if you found value in this show, do write to us at thedigitalcouch@vfirst.com. Be sure to tune in to our next episode. See you.